Hey everybody, it's Kneecap here, and in this video, I'm going to be showing you how to solo Blackrook hold as a Retribution Paladin here on Legion Remix. Before we start, let's talk about a couple little things here. For talents, I'll put the talents in the description below. There's nothing super special going on here. This is just my normal talent build. You can make modifications to it if you want. A lot of the talent stuff is changeable, and different talents can be switched out. I did make a guide at the beginning of Legion Remix. If you want to watch that, you can. You don't have to. But this talent setup will work for you when even pushing the highest keys. When it comes to your weapon, just because this has changed since I did my little guide at the beginning, Twisted Crusade, for sustained damage, Call of the Forest is actually going to be better, the top line here, and which is going to be better when you're doing like a hard key that you're trying to solo. You might need to make a DPS boss check, for example. So that's going to be a little bit more damage. So that's what I recommend using. For a lot of things, Twisted Crusade's still fine if you just like using Fell Spike. It's kind of fun, right? And for certain things, it's actually better because you need that burst damage or something like that, right? But for the actual sustained damage, Call of the Forest is going to be a little bit better. And that's what I've been using basically ever since they buffed it like to high heaven. So that's what we're going to be using when it comes to the artifact weapon. We're going to be doing this on a plus 42, just a level that where I won't be one-shotting everything, but also at a level where I won't be in too much danger, so that way I can stop and explain things. The affixes this week are a little bit weird with teaming, because teaming is just a weird affix. It makes everything have way more mobs. And we'll kind of talk about what the dungeon would be like without teaming as well when we go through it, because it changes a lot. It's a lot more difficult, especially to do some of the bigger pulls and stuff that you would normally maybe do if you didn't have teaming. Also, Sanguine is that way too. So the way I pull it in this dungeon might be similar to how you want to do it on Sanguine week, for example. So let's go ahead and get this key started, and we'll kind of go through and talk about everything we need to. We'll cut out anything. If there are any pulls that don't need talked about or anything like that, we can, cut some stuff out to make it a little bit quicker, but I don't want to miss anything at the same time. So the first pull here, you can usually pull all of this into the next room, up to the top of the stairs here. The thing you need to look out for is these retainers. They put a debuff on you. It's a magic debuff, and as a rat, we can't dispel that, right? But you can use your Scroll of Cleansing. You can also bubble it off. Basically, it'll get to enough stacks where it just starts chunking you. Even when you have as much verse and stuff as I have, that'll eventually start chunking you. On teaming, and probably on Sanguine, it's probably actually better to do this in like a couple pulls instead of just running it all up there. That's just the reality. It's going to be a little bit slower, but it's just really, really hard. You also have these counselors over here, and they can also do like a heal. I think they might have a cast as well. Soul Blast, yes. So you want to watch out for that. So I have a little add-ons telling me 1 Soul Blade on me. These things are dying pretty fast. If this is a push key, it's not going to die quite this fast. And then we'll do this pull. So if the Pat was back here, I probably would have pulled that with that last group. But since it wasn't, we'll just do it in 3 pulls instead. Or you could, force it together or whatever. Obviously, you can do whatever you can handle. So obviously, you see the stuff kind of dying quickly because, like I said, I'm in a bit lower key just so I can stay alive. So if I wanted to, I could have pulled this all together, but that's not really what my mission is here. So in this room, Ravencrest, he's obviously the guy we need to actually get down, but we have counselors, we have retainers as well. So Ravencrest is going to die way after everyone else anyways. So if you want to just take down a counselor first, or not single target, but focus target a different one down, that's actually fine. When we get started, so Soul Echoes, this is annoying. You have to kind of keep moving them. You don't have to move that often. You just have to move like every once in a while to get out of the previous one that you dropped. We'll just come over to him now. And it's just going to keep doing it. This is the biggest reason why you don't want to pull him into the boss, and even on an easier fix week, pull everything into the boss, is simply because the boss has a similar mechanic to this, and just having to deal with all that stuff is just so annoying. So that's why I personally want to do it when you're soloing it. If you're in a group, of course, it's completely different. This week's a fix. You just have to stand in this little thing. It's like the first one from the first week, I believe. It's going to be hard with this Soul Echoes, though. Oh, might not be. I got it. And so you want to take advantage of all of those. Doesn't matter what dungeon you're in, whether it's this one or another one. And it's just going to make your cooldowns regenerate a lot faster. All right. So let's move on and talk about the first boss now. First boss is really simple. We probably don't need to put the whole boss fight into it. Basically, only one thing we really need to talk about, and that's just the mechanic. I think it happens at 50%, where he summons the souls from the outside. Basically, if you're doing a key, the best way I can describe this one is if you're doing a key that is proper for your level, meaning you're not like barely getting through it, like you're a little under verse for it, right? You can kind of just survive that, and you don't have to worry about it too much. I've sold this key a lot of times. This is a very good key to farm mementos on. And at first I was trying to kill the ads in the back, or that come out of the sides or whatever. At first I was trying to kill them all, and then I was like, okay, I'll just kill a couple that get close to me while I'm, you know, in my damage window anyways. Because like right now I could remix time, for example, and get a damage window. We can kind of show what that looks like. And so at first I was running out and killing these souls, and then I was like, okay, I'm not going to do that. It's like too much of a waste. And so instead I started just like killing ones that got close, and then like started divine storming when they got close, which would kill a couple of them. Not all of them. In fact, I guess it killed most of them that time. But when he soul bursts, if you shield of vengeance, you're probably going to survive. If you're worried about it, that would just be when you use your bubble, essentially. So shield of vengeance on the soul burst after he absorbs the souls, or just bubble if you're worried about it, or if you die once. The good thing about these keys is you can usually, not every time, die once and be fine. But shield of vengeance or bubble is fine there. All right, after the RP event, we got the spiders. For the most part, I don't recommend bringing the spiders up to the next pull. I usually just pull up to the spiders. You can actually pre-shield the vengeance, and they must have to actually hit you with their attacks to apply their little debuff. So it's kind of like stops you from getting debuffed before you even get up here. And these things will stack up damage and hurt you, so you do want to kind of pop these off if you can. You know, obviously on this key level, for me, for my verse, right, I didn't really need to pop everything to kill them, but you might need to, especially if it's a push key for you. So if this was like a 52 or a 55 for me, I might actually need to pop everything there. Get those spiders down, they do hurt. You can pull this little pat in this group. This is teaming, but it'll still be fine. I like to focus down the Arcanists. They just do, their Arcane Blast actually just does a lot of damage in general. Again, I'm not at too much danger unless I overpull at this key level, but I like to take those down. I like to take down the archers, and then yeah, not too bad there. Let's see if there's anything else to talk about in these next pulls, or if we can actually just skip. Pretty easy. Don't get hit by the strike in the front. So you can pull this in one group as well. On non-teaming, I would even say if you want to, you could just pull all of this if you are high enough verse for your key. Kill the mages. Make sure you don't get killed by the scouts. But then after you kill these, another group's going to jump down, kill that group, and then we have another easy group. And then we'll probably just pick it back up at boss. Honestly, this pretty easy hallway. All right, we finished off that little group that jumps on you when you come up the stairs with the two archers. We're gonna head to this boss now. I don't have a ton of count. This is because it's teaming, so the route isn't really going to make any sense because I'm gonna have way too much count. But for this boss, there's just a few things to be careful of. Mostly when the intermissions happen. If you're in a group, you probably normally during intermission are just maybe focusing the boss while maybe AoEing the ads down. We're gonna do that a little bit differently here. Other than that, there's not too much that the actual boss does. It's normally the ad phase that's actually going to hurt you because, especially the caster ad, but the ads can do a lot of damage, and so does the fell beam, honestly, on the ground. So you got to be careful for that as well. So stage 2 Fury. So what I like to do here, if this was a hard key, is I save my next execution sentence and Wake of Ashes for this ad here. So you can also interrupt this ad and move it around, and then that can help you get out of this beam. But I like to focus this ad down because I can hit the other ones while dodging the beam, no problem, right? Now in a perfect world, I want to be under here and, you know, hitting the boss as well. But the fell beam makes that really, really hard, of course. You can use like your Shield of Vengeance and stand in it and make it pop onto the boss. Oops, I thought it popped and it didn't. Again, I'm at such a low key for my level that it's a little hard to pop my Shield of Vengeance. But if I did something like a 50, it would actually be difficult, and then I wouldn't be able to kind of narrate everything. So then, again, you might get On a push key, you might get like 2 or 3 intermissions, usually 2, if you're proper verse for your key you're doing. Usually you get like 2 intermissions, but you could get 3. But you just do that same thing over and over. Save something for the mage, get the mage down, interrupt it if you need to, run away, and yeah, it's pretty simple there. The bosses are the most difficulty in this by far. We'll have to mention a little bit of something about pretty much every boss. All right, we're gonna come up here to the boulders. Obviously, don't get hit by boulders. That's should be obvious. You're gonna come up here, and you can just pull all of this, whether it's teaming or not, or even sanguine. There's just so much stuff. Obviously, if it's sanguine, you got to keep it moving so you don't heal everything to full health. But I just like to pull this entire hallway together, even on teaming, even if the key was, you know, like a 54 or something, whatever key level would be normal for me to do here. And then obviously if it was sanguine, I would have to keep moving. You have the fire breath to dodge. And you just AoE all this down. But other than the fire breath, there's not too much to worry about here. Don't just stand in the fire breath, essentially. And you should be fine. If you want to break it apart into multiple pulls, you can do that. So we have another set of boulders to dodge. This one's much longer. I actually use my keyboard to move for these. It's a little bit easier for me. And then now we have a gauntlet. So this is basically like, how much can you handle? So in theory, so for me, because I'm, again, doing a key that I can handle pretty easily, I could probably pull all this up there. And if you're pushing your key and it's like low and you're like way stronger, you can pull all the way to the end of the gauntlet. However, what I learned when doing a key for my proper level is, since it's impossible to interrupt all the fell frenzies from these dominators here, eventually they're going to get really, really big, and it's kind of like unlivable. So if it's a push key, unless if it's a hard key for me, I am just going to pull these basically one at a time, maybe 2 at a time, and then finish off the dominator that got bigger from getting fell frenzies off. That's how, you know, so this is going to get 1 fell frenzy off, which is fine. 1 isn't a big deal. So if I was fighting those together, this one would be on his probably 2nd or 3rd fell frenzy right now. And it does add up, especially again when it's a key that is actually challenging to you. So I'll spare you from doing 2 more pulls of this, and we'll pick back up at the boss, and we'll explain how he's going to work on a key for you. Okay, so we are at Smash Spite the Hateful. The big thing we have to worry about here is Hateful Gaze. If you don't kill him fast enough, you will eventually die. Luckily, we can stop physical damage in multiple ways. Bop and Bubble being our last 2 that we want to use when they get very, very strong. Now, as you get more and more health and your Shield of Vengeance gets bigger and bigger, I've actually been able to extend out how many Hateful Gazes I can survive. I believe I can survive 7 now. But at one point I could only survive 5, and at one point I could only survive 6. So I don't know if that's going to keep extending as I get all the way up to 999. But at some, you're only going to have a certain amount of Hateful Gazes that you can survive, and you kind of need a plan for it, right? Now, as long as you're at the appropriate key, if you've made it this far into the dungeon solo, right, and you still have time left, then you're probably at enough verse where you can survive the first 2, no problem. The 3rd one, you can also probably survive no problem. Maybe you want to use your Divine Protection for it, right? For the 3rd Hateful Gaze. For the 4th Hateful Gaze, maybe use your Shield of Vengeance, right? Then what I would do is save my remix time for after that 4th one, remix time, and then do a shield and Divine Protection. Now, it's possible you won't be able to live that. It's very, very possible, depending on where you are on your journey so far, on your gear and your health and your weapon and stuff, right? So if not, then at that point, you just want to go to your Bop and Bubble, and that'll be like your 5th and 6th. But the first 2, you can survive no problem. 3rd one, you might be able to survive with nothing. But if you need something, maybe just your Divine Protection. 4th one, Shield of Vengeance. Then you can remix and try to do a Shield of Vengeance with Divine Protection. Then you can do Bop Bubble for the last 2 just to kind of immune the damage. And that's your timer of how long you have to kill the boss. If you can't kill the boss in that time, then all you can do if you wipe once is try to push back your defensives. If you want to, you can try to push them backwards and see if you can survive that at that point. But that's pretty much your only option here. I'll try to keep this boss alive long enough so we can see a decent amount of these Hateful Gazes here. So he Hateful Gaze is on me. Let's see what he hits me for here. So he didn't even... I don't even think he got through me here. No, he didn't even like get through like just like passive shielding that I had. So the first one, obviously fine. No big deal there. I'm looking at the what happened to me tab, right, by the way. Yeah, obviously want to dodge this stuff. We have another Hateful Gaze coming. We'll see if this one actually hits me for damage. So that one hit me for 44 million. So as you can see, I'm starting to take damage now. So we're going to pop some cooldowns just to make sure I don't die doing it. So 44 million, not too bad, but the next one's going to hurt. So that was 3, or was that the second one? Oh yeah, that was only the second one. So third one, I'm going to use my Divine Protection and see what happens here. So that hit me for 111 million, which is about a third of my health. So we'll see if I can survive the fourth one with the Shield of Vengeance. I think I can. Oh yeah, I should survive it, no problem. I think. If I die, oh well. So we're going to do Shield of Vengeance here. Okay, he didn't even break it. So it's worth noting, my Shield of Vengeance is probably going to absorb a lot more than yours does. So now I would do Bop and Bubble, or I could remix Time and try to do it again, which I definitely, in this case, I could. If I don't know if I have time, actually. No, I won't have time to do that. So we're going to just bop this one to completely immune it. And then at this point, I would only have Bubble left. Although I might be able to survive another Shield of Vengeance one. Just because my shield's so high, though. I wouldn't necessarily advise that. So then I would bubble all this one if he doesn't die. Bubble. There, he dies. Okay, so that's kind of how you have to handle it. You just have to kind of plan out your cooldowns and survive whatever you can survive, right? It's gonna differ based on your verse and how much higher you are than your key level. Okay, so this next part, we're actually just going to pull. The only time I maybe wouldn't pull all of this together, these mobs are actually really easy, is if it's Sanguine, right? Sanguine, you might not want to do this. Obviously, as we talked about, we're going to be way over count. Look at all these mobs up here. You do have to keep moving, though. We just used our bubble and bop. We don't want to get hit by this stuff on the ground. So you just kind of got keep it moving would be my advice here. We got them all rooted from our artifact ability thing. Got them all stunned from our Wake of Ashes. We're just going to keep it moving. There we go. Big dam there. All right, for this one, this is not too bad. We'll talk about it a little bit. First part, you actually do want to kill this guy as fast as possible. So don't be afraid to use your cooldowns here, because you don't get that damage amp on the actual boss for a little bit anyways. So if you have cooldowns up coming into this, go ahead and do it, just because you'll get less stacks of this, what's this called? Unerring Shear on you. And that'll just make it easier on a key that's like, if you're doing a key that's really difficult for you, that'll just make it a little bit easier. It's not really something dangerous until it becomes dangerous, basically. Until you get too many stacks, and then it becomes very dangerous. So he's going to die. The first intermission for this boss happens way faster than you would maybe want or think. It's 30 seconds, so we're only going to pop our 30-second cooldowns, which is our Execution Sentence and our Wake of Ashes. We can pop our Covenant ability too. It doesn't really matter, in particular for this boss, but. And then other than that, you're going to get Hypnosis Clouds on the ground. You're going to get these Stinging Swarms on you. Honestly, I just switch to him and kill him. You can just kill him off your own head. That's what I would do. Dreadlord's Guile, you just dodge, and then you just kind of, after he comes back from this Dreadlord's Guile, pop literally every cooldown and go to town on him. So similar to second boss, if you are doing a key that's appropriate for your level, you'll probably get 2 to 3 Dreadlord's Guiles. That's probably about where you'll be at on that. Stinging Swarm will kill it. It'll die very fast. What's nice about this boss too is when you have the affixes that you have to like kill the mobs or whatever that come out from the affix, the Stinging Swarms die, or not the Stinging Swarms, but the the mobs that come out die very, very quickly. And we'll just finish him off, and that'll be it for this one. So this is one of the easier keys to do. Still, some explaining is nice for a couple of the mechanics, especially the Hateful Gaze. That was the hardest one for me when doing like a really hard push key for here. So, yeah, that's it for this one though. Hopefully this can help you out. If you were helped at all, I'll always ask to please subscribe to the channel because it helps me out the most. If you're already a subscriber, I encourage you to check out the Patreon. Other than that, everybody, have a good one.